Hello, YouTube. This is Dimon360 coming at you with episode 6 of What If Vader and Starkiller killed Palpatine and ruled the galaxy. And oh boy, we've got a pretty big doozy of an episode today. Some big stuff happens, some crazy stuff happens, and some stuff is getting ready to go down. So this episode is a very long one. I know I keep saying each episode's going to be the longest. This one's probably going to be the longest. The script is, over 8 pages long. So, was it 8 or was it, 5? I think it was 5. Sorry, I was overhyping that. But it's a very big script. It's bigger than any of the other episode scripts. But that's because so much is happening. But, anyway, I think we should just cut right to the chase and get on with this episode. Let's begin. We cut to an unknown planet where we see Leia and Ahsoka sparring with each other, as they each use one of Tano's white-bladed hilts. We see that Leia has definitely taken some inspiration from Ahsoka's technique through her application of physical and force-based attacks in her lightsaber sequences, and her use of her entire body as a weapon. As Ahsoka begins to take an advantage in the fight, Leia uses the Force to pull a large stone towards her master, who slashes it in two. Leia uses the distraction to jump off Ahsoka's back, topped off with a flip, before raising her blade in a reversed grip to block Ahsoka's next attack. As Leia goes to reposition herself, Ahsoka notices a slight chink in her technique and performs an ankle sweep, which drops Leia to the ground. Ahsoka goes to raise her blade as Leia uses the Force to throw Ahsoka backwards into the tree behind her. As Leia demands a surrender, Ahsoka agrees and they both deactivate their lightsabers. "You're getting stronger than I realized," Ahsoka admits. Leia gives a warm smile to that. "All those Imperial bases we stopped, the sparring sessions, and the small skirmishes definitely had me stepping up my resolve." "You can always learn far more on hand than through a textbook," Ahsoka taught. Leia gave a smirk to that. "And I thought you said you weren't good at this whole training thing." As the two share a chuckle together, the Force apparition of Obi-Wan Kenobi appears before them. "You're learning well, young Leia." "Master Kenobi, I never thought I'd see you again." "I still have a mission on my hands," Kenobi responds. "You've trained Leia well, but now I believe it's time for more. I want you to take her to the Dagobah system. There she can train with Yoda." "Yoda's alive too? How have I not sensed him?" Ahsoka asks. "One his age doesn't survive by being overconfident or unprepared," Obi-Wan replies. "But first, I want you to go to my hut on Tatooine. I think there's something Leia should have." We cut to Malachor as Luke and Maul are flying back up to the surface of Malachor using the Grand Inquisitor's TIE Fighter as they land before Hondo's crew, all tied up by stormtroopers. As they exit, we see that Luke has now placed the Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber on his belt, as Maul quickly lays waste to the battalion of stormtroopers. Hondo turns to see Luke, but quickly stops in his tracks when he sees Maul. "I never thought I would see this menace again," he mutters as he draws his blaster pistol. "Luke, my boy, get away from this monster!" "You expect me to listen to you after you abandoned me down there?" Luke asks. "None of us could have reached you down there. We had to keep going. Such is the way of survival," Hondo tries to explain, although Luke refuses to listen. "Well, I did survive, and I found our client's master." "Business with this man is death, my boy. We must kill him or get away." Maul, who had remained silent up until this point, began to cackle. "These fools hindered your power, Luke, and tried to use you as a pawn. They will manipulate you time and time again. We must get rid of such nuisance." "You're the one who's lying to this boy. I just tried to give him a job," Hondo shoots back. Maul turns to Luke once again. "You and I We're born with the power of the Force for one purpose: to use it. If you stay with these thugs, you will never truly become what you are destined for. Stay with this man, and you will see your demise coming soon enough, Hondo tried to reason. Luke looked extremely conflicted over everything as he looked up to see the massive Star Destroyer above the planet. Maul chimed in again. I can teach you about survival, boy. Find the strongest allies possible and try to gather as much power in the galaxy as you can. Otherwise, you're nothing more than the moisture farmer you already were. Who's a stronger force, my boy? A group of pirates that hid your power from you and were willing to abandon you for lack of interest, or someone who can teach you your abilities and the leader of a criminal syndicate? Luke gives one last look of conflict before igniting the Inquisitor's lightsaber and moving towards the pirates. Maul begins to grin with glee as Luke begins to slaughter the pirates, one by one. We cut to a space station near the Death Star in Chiss space as a shuttle enters inside, greeted by Grand Moff Tarkin and Grand Admiral Thrawn. The shuttle ramp lowers as Emperor Vader exits, followed by Delta Squad and several Imperial overseers. My Emperor, what has you finding your way here? Tarkin asks. The Death Star is too powerful of a weapon to be left unchecked. I am bringing my overseers here to make sure everything is in order. Tarkin looks just a slight bit concerned by that statement before he ultimately accepts Vader's orders. We go to a few hours later after Vader is left. Tarkin, Thrawn, Mara Jade, and Sabayoth are all meeting in secret. Do you think he knows? Sabayoth asks. Thrawn shakes his head. No, but he is likely catching on in some capacity. Then we must attack now, Tarkin demands. We can't hide from Vader forever. We have everything we need. It's only a matter of committing the attack, Mara explains. Tarkin looks to everyone in the room. Very well. We attack tomorrow. We cut to the rogue Shadow as Galen and Juno have now sat the awakened Ram Koda down. Don't worry, Master Ram Koda. We're bringing you to the remaining Jedi. How many did you find? Koda asks. Jedi Masters Tholm, Trasa, and Quinlan Voss so far, Galen explains. How about Shakti? My contact in the Senate went to find her, and her Padawan for his help in the fight against the Empire. Galen gives a slight look of shame since he was the one to kill Shakti, however he had no knowledge of her Padawan. Shakti was found dead, but I found no knowledge of her Padawan. Then that's where we should start, Koda announces. We cut to Tatooine, inside Ben Kenobi's hut, where we see Ahsoka and Leia looking around the deserted hut, and it seems like there's hardly anything worth finding. Leia finds a small book with the title, For Luke. Who's Luke? She asks. Ahsoka looks at her with a look to say that she has no idea. Leia begins to hear a call through the Force as she moves over to a box and opens it to find the lightsaber of Anakin Skywalker. A lightsaber, Leia says out loud. Ahsoka moves over to Leia as she hands the lightsaber out. Master, do you know this lightsaber? Ahsoka's jaw drops at the sight of the weapon, and she nearly collapses. That lightsaber was your father's, she explains. Leia looks in awe at the weapon as she holds it in her hands. I guess he wanted me to have it one day. Ahsoka smiles briefly before the expression fades to sadness. Leia, there's something you must know. Leia takes her eyes off the lightsaber and turns to Ahsoka. What is it? Your father's alive. He goes by the title of Emperor now, Ahsoka reveals. Leia drops to her feet with a look of surprise and confusion. My father is that machine? Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know until a few days ago, and I don't know how he became Darth Vader. Do we really have to kill him? Leia asks. Ahsoka shakes her head. No. I want to try and reach out to him. Leia looks both confused and even a little angered by that as Ahsoka explains. Remember how I told you that your father was once the most caring person in the galaxy? How he would always stay by your side until the end? Leia nods cautiously. Anakin loved his family more than anything, and something tells me the death of Senator Amidala, your mother, drove him into this darkness. But if he were to have his daughter, then maybe he could snap out of it. After all the pain and destruction he's caused, why should I try and save him? Leia asks. Because your father would have done the same for you. After a brief moment of silence, Leia begins to hold her head in pain as Ahsoka moves to help her. Bail's in trouble, she whispers. Where? Ahsoka asks. Felucia. We cut to Malachor as Luke and Maul have just placed the TIE Fighter engine inside Hondo's ship and are now flying into hyperspace, although barely. This ship is falling apart by the minute. I have just sent a distress signal to get us some help and have dropped the ship out of hyperspace so it doesn't tear itself apart. What until then? Luke asks. Maul grins for a long moment. I believe it's time for me to attend to your training. Tell me, apprentice, how did you end up with the Onaka gang? Luke shrugs as he tries to piece everything back together. Well, a voice in my head of old Ben Kenobi told me to go kill that Inquisitor. Told me to go before that Inquisitor killed my aunt and uncle. Hondo took me in soon after and we got our job. Kenobi? Where is he now? Maul asks with a violent hiss in his tone. Luke shrugs once again. Didn't you hear? Obi-Wan Kenobi was killed on Alderaan following Emperor Palpatine's death. Maul looks rather stunned, realizing that the two people that had taken everything from him were now dead, and he wasn't the one to kill him. His purpose was now restored to training this child and re-establishing Crimson Dawn as a powerful crime faction. He ignites a single blade of his lightsaber and motions for Luke to do the same. They stand apart as they lock blades. Now, you are going to draw on your rage, your power, and try to disarm me. Luke takes a moment to get used to the new weapon as he begins a probing assault. Maul blocks each strike easily as Luke begins testing what he can do with the blade. After a moment, Luke begins to draw on his dark power and unleashes a quick barrage of aggressive strikes that even Maul is caught off guard by. Maul counters with a Juyo barrage, and Luke ultimately strains under the pressure and falls to his knees as Maul helps him up. Again, my apprentice. A similar battle ensues as master and apprentice spar. After several hours of sparring and rage channeling, the ship receives the signature of a ship that is coming to the rescue. Luke and Maul deactivate their lightsabers and look out to see a YT-24,000 light freighter as Maul and Luke enter the airlock to greet the pilot. And we see that it is none other than Dash Rendar. I got your distress signal. You two Jedi? Maul shakes his head, slightly irritated. No, we are hunters, looking for prey, and we need to get back to Savareen. The home planet of Crimson Dawn? Precisely. Dash shrugs as he motions for Luke and Maul to follow him into the ship. All right then, as long as I don't die and get paid. I assure you, Crimson Dawn will keep you around and pays fairly as long as you do your task effectively. Very well, Dash responds as the Outrider jumps into hyperspace. We cut to Cloud City, where we see Inquisitor Jarek overlooking the dead corpses of the Imperial Shadow Guards Galen Merrick had killed earlier. In his hand is a hologram of Darth Vader. The security footage shows a Jedi with a blue lightsaber dragging the unconscious Ram Koda from the bar and attacking our guards. No, High Inquisitor, it was Starkiller. I am sure of it, Vader responds coldly. What would you like me to do, Emperor? Jarek asks. We shall wait for him to make the first move. We cut to Felucia, where we see Ahsoka and Leia making their way to Bail Organa, who is sitting in a massive pit. They have just cut their way through an army of stormtroopers and Felucians through a sarlacc, as Leia and Ahsoka help untie Bail's hands free. Bail welcomes his adopted daughter with a hug before growing serious again. "We must hurry. Shakti's apprentice has gone mad." "We haven't gone mad," a voice calls out, as Ahsoka ignites both of her lightsabers to see Maris Brood entering the room. "We've just embraced the power of the dark side." "Stand down, Padawan. It's 2 Jedi against 1, Ahsoka declares as Maris chuckles. "Not if my pet has anything to say about it." She motions for her bull rancor to arrive as it quickly attacks Ahsoka. Maris moves to kill Bail as Leia jumps in and blocks her killing blow, now brandishing the lightsaber of Anakin Skywalker. The two trade blows, with Leia more on the defensive, although she does use her acrobatics and the environment for tactical advantage. Ahsoka falls back against the bull rancor and wields both her white lightsabers in a flourish as she charges the beast. Leia blocks another attack from Maris as she suddenly cloaks herself before attacking Leia from behind. Leia quickly blocks the strike, although she is caught off guard and brought to her feet for a moment. Maris takes the opportunity to go in for the kill and lands several kicks and hits from the butt end of her lightsaber, who takes the punishment. Maris goes in for the kill, but this was Leia's plan, as she throws herself up and unleashes a force push that sends Maris flying across the arena. In retaliation, Maris uses the force to throw both her lightsaber tonfas before quickly going invisible, as Leia deflects both blades. The hilts come back to Maris's palms as she pins Leia to the ground and traps her in a blade lock. Leia strains for a long moment as she quickly outstretches one of her hands and sends a rock flying towards Maris. Although easily cut in half, it did provide Leia with enough of a distraction for her to escape. Maris falls back before lunging in the air and unleashing a barrage of strikes that Leia blocks, although with great strain and effort. As the Dark Jedi begins to push Leia to her knees once again, they both hear the death of the bull rancor as Ahsoka leaps into the fray and blocks all of Maris's incoming strikes. Working together as master and apprentice, the two quickly unleash their own flurry of strikes that send Maris to her knees in a matter of moments. "Please spare me," Maris begs, as Leia and Ahsoka hold their blades to her throat. "Shakti abandoned me here. The darkness of this planet overwhelmed me. Free me, and I will resist the dark side," she promises. "That's exactly what a Darksider would say to escape," Leia says angrily, although Ahsoka stops her. "That's why we can help her. We can bring her away from this planet and help rid her of such darkness. Remember all those people we rescued when we stopped those Imperial outposts? She and your father are just as much slaves to the dark side as those people were slaves to the Empire." Leia hesitates for a moment before deactivating her lightsaber, although she does take Maris's lightsabers as well. As Ahsoka pulls Maris off the ground, they are met with the sounds of force lightning and quickly activate their sabers, as they are met with Galen Merrick, who ignites his own blue blade in a defensive position. And that is where this part ends. Woo! What an episode. We got to see Leia fighting Maris Brood. I don't think anyone ever expected that kind of fight. And Galen Merrick and Ram Koda are meeting up with them, and Ahsoka. And Luke and Maul are definitely master and apprentice now, as the false Sith Lords. And Dash Rendar and Delta Squad got cameos. That's awesome. So they were just cameos. Both Dash and Delta Squad, and Jarek, they were all kind of cameos, but they were still awesome to have in the story. I will admit, Maris Brood wasn't supposed to be in this story for a long time. Actually, when I was originally drafting this series, she wasn't going to be in it at all. However, I wanted to start kind of getting the characters together, and for me, it just felt like a natural progression of the story to have Leia and Galen both go to Felucia to rescue Bail and have Maris Brood there. Now, I originally also had Leia defeating Maris Brood on her own. However, I did have Ahsoka come in and help her because, I don't know, it felt like Leia's only been training for about 2 weeks, and she's talented. She's been training, maybe for about a month, maybe. But I didn't want it to feel like a Mary Sue moment because she's only been training for about a month, right? That doesn't mean she can defeat Maris Brood. Like, don't underestimate Maris Brood. She gave Galen freaking Merrick a pretty tough fight. I mean, she definitely wasn't on the same level as Coda, Kazdan Paratus, or Shaak Ti, or definitely not Darth Vader, but don't underestimate her either. So I just didn't want Leia to feel like a Mare Sue. So I just had Ahsoka kind of help her, but if you wanted Leia to beat Maris by herself, you can just cut that out. And yeah, also Hondo finally died. Hondo finally died in the story, but yeah, everything's kind of tying in together. The big stuff is about to go down. I mean, we've got Leia, Ahsoka, and Galen Merrick in the same room, lightsabers ignited. We have Thrawn, Tarkin, Mara, and Sabayoth preparing their attack against Vader. We have Vader knowing of Galen Merrick's betrayal. Oh, we've got a lot of stuff coming. We've got some crazy action coming. But you're just going to have to stick around for next time to see what goes down. All right, this is Demon360 signing off. Peace.